Welcome everyone back. Sorry for that, Peter. We are back for the fourth round of the main event of the Austrian Legacy Masters, and I just had a break. So, Peter, how did the match went for the last round?
We actually had the first time
Yeah.
two matches because like after around 25 minutes,
Oh, it was already done. Okay.
Jessica, Blue White Stiflenought
Yeah.
won against Mono Black Scam.
Oh,
And
nice. Yeah.
it was a really, really beautiful match where we've seen after some intriguing two dreadnoughts facing for the win, which is apparently a pretty fast clock, I would say. But yeah, was pretty awesome. And
Yeah.
afterwards, we've seen Gernot Hübler, Gernot Backfrog.
This deck is just. Did he win actually?
No, he
Ah,
lost
okay.
against Gam.
I'm a big fan of this deck.
He lost against Kevin Kara.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Still very nice to see.
it was a pretty interesting matchup. But yeah, now we have Johannes Gutbrot on 4-color control,
Exactly.
which is exactly something that we want to see. And then we have Max. How is he called?
Max.
Maximum Pressure.
No, it's from World.
Cool.
From Wald. Martin.
Martin Fromwald. This is
Yes.
this is Blue White Stiflenaught.
So-
And yeah, it's a pretty
Blue White.
Blue White Stiflenaught. It's a really cool deck. He has so many different targets to play for. I mean, it's only two,
Okay, yeah.
which is a card that is kind of liability sometimes against especially Scam, because like they can reanimate your Null Drifter and then it's pretty awkward.
Yeah.
But against 4-color control, there are no reanimates and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they're evoking and getting the Null Drifter is a huge thing.
Yeah.
And even just evoking without getting it, it's still +1. I mean, it costs you 3 mana, but it's not really counterable.
Yeah.
If they have the Stifle, they have to fight over the Stifle. It's really cool.
I think so too, yeah. We'll see how this matchup is going. What I'm really interested is the deck from Johannes.
Yeah.
It is actually 4-color control, clean without any Yorion or something like this. This is usually the case right now when you see 4-color control decks, that they opt to go for the Yorion route. But Johannes is actually playing a 60-card version and has a nice places of Psychic Frogs.
Yeah, is it in the main deck?
The main deck, yes.
Something that I'm not sure if I like or dislike about this deck is like the 2-drop slot is so jammed with card advantage, because he's also playing 4 Beanstalks, and with that it's so many tools.
So much card advantage, yeah. I really think this deck is very nice.
But I'm kind of hyped to see the matchup pair out, because like you're playing now into a lot of removal on the side of Johannes Gutbrot. I think he's playing a Blazed Swords to Plowshares, and he's playing not up the Beanstalk but Leyline Binding. And with Leyline Binding and Swords to Plowshares, you have so many tools to get rid of a Phyrexian Dreadnought. That's kind of
exactly. Yeah. That's the reason why I'm curious to see how this matchup will go. Martin is definitely the person who wants to be on the aggressive side.
Yeah.
The 4-color control deck, if it gets a Frog, a Beanstalk, or whatever going, it's gonna be hard for Martin to come back from that.
Yeah, the thing is, like with Null Drifter, you have some ability to go a bit of a longer game, because you get some card advantage. You can cheat a little bit on mana. But with Up the Beanstalk and Leyline Binding, together with Force of Will, you
Yeah.
have so many targets that allows you to get more and more cards into your hand. You also have the Life from the Loam, which sometimes you can wasteland out
Yeah.
your opponent, and with Life from the Loam you just get your lands back.
It's
I
such a
mean,
value engine.
it's a small tempo swing because you have to invest 2 mana to get the cards back, or you have to dredge to get the cards back. But it's so strong.
It's very strong. And I think I don't think I have seen a version of this control deck before.
Yeah.
I like the way that this deck is built, because sometimes unusual decisions are made, and for a specific meta maybe you want to tweak the deck and the sideboard in a way that it suits your playstyle and how you want to build the deck. And here what you can see, for example, is 2 copies of Nihil Spellbomb in the main deck, which is a pretty big nod towards the blue-black Scam Menace. But what I think was really exciting when I look at the deck list is that there's 2 copies of Wasteland in the sideboard.
That's true. And the thing I was excited about is like, this is not your typical 4-color control deck.
No, yeah.
It's way off, because as we already seen in play, there was the Days on our Doorkeeper file.
It's a playset of Days, yeah.
It's plays much more like Pokepile, am I right?
Yep.
It's the Days deck, it's the tempo deck, it has the counter advantage engines. You win in the late game, and with Days you stop the early game of your opponent.
Yeah.
And the crucial thing is, Days happened after the Beanstalk is already out. So you have your counter advantage engine online.
Yeah.
And now you just counter the right things of your opponent, you remove the right cards of your opponent's battlefield.
Yeah.
And at some point you can win the game. Especially pre-board, where there are not really any answers for the up the Beanstalk. You, in theory, you can bounce it with your Brazen Borer, but that doesn't seem that great. So yeah,
I like this deck a lot. Psychic Frog. We really have seen a lot of Psychic Frogs at this point, and it really has proven that the card is very strong. I think we cannot repeat this often enough. We'll see if Martin, however, he opts to go for the end step dress down, potentially to play a Dreadnought on his own turn.
Yeah.
But Johannes decided, no, I want to force it.
Draws another card.
And draws a card off of Beanstalk, yeah.
So it's mana natural, but tempo advantage on the side of Johannes. And here you have the threat now out, you have the card advantage engines out.
Yes.
So basically everything is prepared for Johannes to go for the win. But what can Martin do to stop him? I mean,
we saw that he has a Doorkeeper Thrall that was dazed the turn before, and usually he tries to do Dress Down plus Doorkeeper Thrall or Stifle in combination with either Phyrexian Dreadnought, or what is the newest addition to that deck would be the Null Drifter.
Yeah, and especially the Null Drifter, which got currently pinned into the graveyard. So
through the Hedge Maze. How is it called? The Meticulous Archive, the Surveillant of blue and white.
Yeah, and the thing is, he has Swords of Plowshares in hand, so
Martin.
Okay. Yeah, you want to answer the Psychic Frog.
Yeah.
I mean, can answer it later, but every turn it attacks and hits you in the face. It's gonna be a big swing, because you go up and up and up again with card advantage, and the first card isn't backbreaking, but it's already something that hurts. And being up to 3 cards, it's just like giving up your queen for any other piece in chess.
Yeah.
So
the Psychic Frog is definitely something that was like a order there.
Yeah. And here we see the swords. Do we have another Force of Will? No.
Yeah, it's unlikely, since Johannes used it already for the dress down the turn before.
Yeah. Because another Force of Will would be breaking the back again. And here we see the nice addition that blue-white Dreadnought has. It also plays Merced Regent.
Okay.
And if you don't have any Merced Regents in there, it's pretty much depending on having a Doorkeeper Thrall or a Stifle or the Dresden ready. And this is a one-card combo, kinda.
It's just a potent threat.
It's a potent threat where you don't need anything. Just
exactly.
As the Psychic Frog, it does not need any setup. It's just a good card on its own.
Yeah.
And
Do you think that for Stiflenaught, we've seen a lot of different lists who opt to go for a full playset of Null Drifter, then the Dreadnoughts, of course, and pretty much only running it out with some Thralls, some Brazen Borrowers. So it seems that this is too much into the A plus B combo direction.
I think you have to play a lot into the A plus B combo because it's so strong.
You want to have the upside more.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's you have 11 enablers. You're playing the Cantrip Cartel.
Yeah.
So you are able to find the stuff, but after being, or especially for post-boarding actions, you need something to go in another direction.
Yeah.
And therefore, sideboarding to have something like that. We see it in the sideboard of Martin with the Harbinger of the Sea.
This is
which is a really, really potent card. But we can't forget what's happening on the battlefield. We've seen another Beanstalk, we've seen a Leyland Binding, we've seen a lot of cards.
And now it's a Null Drifter on the stack with an active Dresden on the battlefield.
Yeah, which means cast triggers on the stack for the 2 cards. In response, there will be a fetch land on the side of Johannes. And let's see if we have something.
And of course, it's nice because with Dresden, the Null Drifter loses all abilities, so the evoke doesn't cost to be sacrificed.
Yeah.
So you can evoke it without the downside, and you can keep a 4/4. I think it's even flying, and annihilate the one. Yeah, as a quite strong threat.
Yeah, the thing here, he fetched now for the Sender's Launch, which means he has basically Tron together with the Savannah.
Yeah.
Or Domain.
Yeah.
To clear out the Null Drifter.
Daze comes in clutch. Let's see how. Oh, Johannes also has a Daze, but Martin has enough mana to pay for any of those.
He still gets his 2 cards. There should be another Swords or another Cantrip to find another Swords in there.
Yeah, I mean, he can deal with that. Annihilate the 1, if it adds up, it can be annoying, but it's of course very strong. He needs to deal with that.
Yeah.
But so far, I think he can just take a turn of his own, maybe Cantrip, and find Swords.
But one thing with Annihilate the 1 is he can attack for once or twice, and especially if you have Leyland Bindings on Phyrexian Dreadnoughts, it's okay. You sack the Leyland Binding, they get the Dreadnought.
In that case,
it triggers again.
Unfortunately, this is not the case right now, but yeah, this would be very nice.
It's still a small 3/3 that can do some stuff. But yeah, we see most likely a few cantrips, casting the Brainstorm, trying to find something, having the fetch ready to get for the right stuff. I don't think he has drawn anything particularly great. Few lands in there. Maybe he has another Leyland Binding and then it's everything okay.
Yeah.
But especially Null Drifter is amazing if it hits the battlefield again. And you have the Petty Theft option still open on the side of Martin. It's only a 1/1, but we are still playing in a blue deck, so you can find all the cards you need.
This is how it goes.
This is how it goes. Delver opts for another 1-off, and then this matchup is great.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have the time, a lot of the time, so. And yeah, we see what Johannes plays here. If it's a third up the Beanstalk or something like that, he's, in my opinion, just missing the cards that can get him back to the game.
Yeah.
Or clear out the threat. Okay, yeah, here we have the Mystic Sanctuary. You have exactly 3 islands out. other than the Mystic Sanctuary, which means you get the Leyland Binding
Mhm.
on top of the deck, which means you can
Oh,
cast-
you cannot choose the
the
Leyland Binding.
you get a Swords of Plowshare or Cantrip or a Force even.
I think he had not seen a sword of his own. He can choose to take the ponder.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
To
Yeah,
check out.
yeah, the ponder. Then he can draw it and draw it and then dig for swords of plowshares.
Yeah.
I like it. So
To
you
this.
can really see he's now, yeah, and he has exactly. He really wants to see the sword. Yeah, easy shuffle if it's not there.
And then, yeah, maybe you can sack even an up the beanstalk because
Yeah,
two
don't-
should be plenty.
you can take one hit. It's fine. But you really, yeah, you shouldn't waste time and start digging, and that's what Johannes is definitely doing.
Yeah.
Taking all odds and decisions for it.
He already did his land drop today, this turn, so yeah. See now his spell bomb, which is unfortunately it doesn't have any mana open. Do you know the nice interaction here? Attacking with the Null Drifter, annihilate the one. You sack the Null spell bomb. You get the trigger. You draw a card.
This is what you mean. Yeah.
Unfortunately, no mana open, which would mean this last turn would have been pretty much free.
You can still sack it. I think it's, but yeah,
He sacked the third.
Yeah, maybe he wants to draw the card with the spell bomb to find the removal spell.
Yeah, if he doesn't have any giant cards basically in hand with CMC 5 or more,
The beanstalk won't trigger.
the beanstalk won't trigger exactly. And now it gets into the situation you only 3 turns left basically to find an out here. And
Exactly.
Martin is still getting some cards into his hand. Maybe gets an out for it, but yeah, it's just a time where Johannes has to brick for a few turns, and Martin has to have a few counter spells and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This is the thing where A plus B with variants comes a little bit in handy. Maybe he draws a few, how to say it, a few counter spells, or he draws now only Dress Down or Stifles, and it doesn't really work for him because it doesn't have the A side in the form of a Dreadnought or another Null Drift.
Yeah, exactly. Psychic Frog coming down from Johannes.
Which is big enough that it can just block the Null Drift.
Yeah.
Should put in the thing at home.
Ah,
But you still have the Leyland Binding.
for
get the
good
trigger.
measure.
With
Swords in
sword.
response. You want to get that going before Johannes gets to draw any extra cards off of the beanstalks.
One thing that I really enjoyed in a lot of the 4-color control lists was like the one-off endurance in a main deck, especially in those decks with up the beanstalk, because they drew so many cards
That you can reshuffle the
that you can
graveyard, yeah.
pretty much get nearly to decking yourself.
Yeah.
So it was amazing that you gets the refill
Yeah.
to your library.
Yeah. Sometimes, yeah.
But
So many cards. And still we have
do we have
we
stifle in the
have
hand of
this-
Martin? Because he could stifle the Leyland Binding trigger,
he could. That is correct.
which would be actually a really good tempo play from him.
Yes, absolutely.
Because
But
3 Leyland Binding are already away.
what I like, and this is something that okay, yeah, I mean it's okay. The days is not helping too much because Johannes has mana open. What I like from Johannes' side, before the swords resolved on the Psychic Frog, he opted to discard one extra card to pump the frog to give him exactly 13 life.
This was a key thing.
Yeah. because of the null drifter. It's one extra turn that you would need to attack. It's for good measure. Unfortunately, it didn't count for the fetch land that he now has to pay. But it wasn't clear that he had to use it.
Yeah.
So yeah, if it's a card that doesn't matter,
Yeah.
he can dump it to Psychic Shock.
And Martin
Scoops it out anyway.
Yeah, because and this is the thing where format knowledge and tournament experience comes a little bit in.
Mm-hmm.
He knows it will need like 5, 6, 7 turns that I will lose the game.
Yeah.
Then we're down to 20 minutes or 22.
Yeah.
And then I don't have the time to win 2 games.
Exactly.
So you scoop it up. Now we have 31 minutes.
Yeah.
You try to win the first game and then to really pressure your opponent in the last.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
very cool.
This is something that I had to learn the hard way. And I hope you guys can take a little bit in from that. And yeah, basically.
Yeah, time management is part of the skill, actually, of playing Magic. It is not only, sometimes it would be nice to have like, I'm pretty sure you know a little bit about the long chess games that happen where you have several hours of thinking time.
Yeah.
Sometimes it would be great to having this for Magic also, but we are limited to 50 minutes, unfortunately.
I mean, maybe Wizards makes it the World Championship.
Yeah.
We have like the Candidates tournament in Magic, and then the World Championship. But the World Championship is a best of 15, where each game lasts a day.
This would be actually, I would watch it. I think it would be very interesting because you could think so hard about. You can even, start to calculate in your head the probabilities correctly, and then make educated guesses out of it, and not just base it on feel.
I think you have to do something like 3 best of 5s with various formats.
Yeah, probably
3 different formats or something like that.
Yeah, probably.
Or maybe even drafting.
Yeah, it has to be also in the constructed drafting and
it would be
formats.
Because like if you in chess there is like the whole preparation. Do you know what happens within 2 games in the World Championship?
Between 2 games?
Yeah.
No, well, I watched a couple of, but I don't know exactly what you mean behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes,
Yeah.
because like every of the
I mean,
two
they prepare a lot, I guess.
Not only the player.
Yeah.
There is like a team of 5, 6, 7 grandmasters for each of those players
Yeah,
that live for this time in another time zone.
Yeah.
There was like Gustafsson, I think it's a German chess player.
Yeah.
Who he was in the team of Magnus Carlsen, and they were living in Hawaii or something like that.
Yeah.
And while he was sleeping, they were like 8 hours preparing stuff
For
of
him.
like for the next game.
Yeah.
And he got the feedback in an hour or something like that.
Mhm.
Then they went back to sleep and then studied the game, and it's like
Crazy.
crazy.
I mean, it's similar to the proto level for Magic actually.
Yeah.
When for the pro teams, when one member gets into top 8, based on the standings, they know the opponent in the top 8, and when you know the next day is the top 8, the teammates are practicing the matchup already.
I was like, it was in a Mana Traders event where when Marc-Erik Vogt went top 8, he played exactly the matchup he did, like for 2 and 3 hours with an expert. And before, like it was like unwinnable for his side.
Yeah.
But then you have to change the game plan, and it's unlosable. And he stomped his opponent. But yeah, let's focus a little bit on what Johannes and Martin can do now.
Yeah.
From the sideboarding perspective, you've seen a lot of cards being brought out. On the side of Johannes, what are the 2 Nihil Spellbomb doing besides getting sacked away for an Null Drifter?
Or that Nihil Spellbomb are not really useful.
You have the Carpet.
Yeah.
Then Consign to Memory doesn't seem that great. Hydroblast not that great. Maybe you want the Whale. Maybe you want the Dismember. Dismember seems actually great because it kills the Null Drifter. It kills the Prowl. Pernicious Teams is awesome.
Yeah.
And I think you want to play the Force of Vigor.
Force of Vigor for why?
For the Dreadnought, maybe.
Just for the Dreadnought?
And you can kill the Dresden in response.
Yeah, maybe it's okay, yeah.
And Terminus for sure comes in.
Carpet of Flaws also look very
Carpet
very
looks
good.
juicy.
Juicy, yeah.
And I don't think that he wants to play the Wastelands because it's so like 3 to 4 of the basics.
Yeah, Wasteland is not super strong.
No. And what are cards that you don't really like?
Spell bombs, I think we identified. Yeah, here is the question for me: would you cut forces? Usually, yeah.
With Beanstalk, it seems
the days. Yeah, I know exactly. For Beanstalk, you have to have a certain count of
days.
5 mana cards. Days is actually a card that
on the draw. Yeah.
That you could, if you really know you're the control player. For Tempo Mirrors, Days is actually a card that you never cut.
I think this is actually a matchup where you go hardly into the control route.
You have the tools for sure. It's a matter of how. I mean, if you cut Days, if you maybe cut even Wastelands, you have more risk that your opponent can screw you on your mana.
Yeah.
And get you with his own Days.
Lavinia. It's so strong. The one of Lavinia strikes here.
The one-sided vexing ball.
Yeah. Does he have to get the text here? Yeah.
It's good. It's just to make sure what the cut does. But as we can see here, it is that the opponent cannot cast non-creature spells with mana value greater than the number of lands the player controls, which means Force, Leyland Binding, mostly, Terminus maybe. And whenever an opponent casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast it, counter that spell. So that's the Vexing Bubble effect.
It's like you have to wait for a long time to do something against it. And there the Days would come in handy if he still has it. But there is for sure a Days or a Force on the side of Martin. And this is exactly a card that you have to fight about in the early game. I mean, you still have the swords to get rid of it in a future instance. But yeah, you can't really have to have your opponent.
Yeah, I'm really curious if Johannes left in the forces. Because if it wasn't down for the forces, then the Lavinia only stops really maybe a Terminus and the bindings, and that's it.
It will be and the binding. I mean, it's 6 mana, so you need 6 lands out. At some point, you have the 6 lands out.
Yeah, so, at some point, yeah.
In the way future, but at some point you may have the 6 lands out. You can cast it for 1 mana because it's not free to cast.
Yep.
And even for 6 mana or something like that, Carpet of Flowers helps you a lot. Most likely in the future. And yeah, here we have now an Underground Sea here, maybe for another Ponder or passing the turn. Yeah, passing the turn it was.
Ponder for Martin.
And here we can kind of cry the old man, like, back in the day, the prison purses were both-sided. But yeah, Lavinia is such a strong card. It's a sweet card. It's still a creature. It dies to pretty much everything, but it stops a crucial part of what your opponent does.
It's an annoying card.
Yeah.
It's not lock piece in per se in that situation. It's much stronger against combo decks usually.
Against LED.
Yeah, exactly. Here it's just an annoying little creature that maybe helps Martin to punch through his own big threats in the end. And in the worst case, it's just a text for two also.
Yeah. Here, 4th land and Stifle and an Aldrifter would be great. But here do you agree with killing the Underground Sea? I mean, he does not know the deck list. And it's most likely the one of Underground Sea, am I right? Yeah.
It's a one-off, yeah.
Yeah, you only need it for the frog.
And Leyland Binding.
And Pernicious Steed.
Yeah.
I mean, for Leyland Binding, you have Stiflenought too.
Yeah.
Which is Grixis. So,
yeah.
Grixis, so Stiflenought and the before seen Savannah is exactly every basic land type that you want out here. So, here we have now the swords on the Lavinia.
in response to the wasteland.
And you can't really.
I hope that Johannes has a daze.
Yeah,
If he has kept it.
It would be.
I was smelling again a wasteland protection play, but for this Martin would have to cast a spell.
Yeah. And you can still brainstorm daze it yourself, something like that. I mean,
he could have dazed his own swords and paid for the mana if he wanted to protect it.
but then you run into Stifle and yeah.
Yeah, maybe the daze is really boarded out. We have to check and see if it gets played.
Because there were like 8 to 9 cards, I think, that were boarded in. So
yeah,
you need the space, you need the removal. The only thing that really stands out to be boarded out is the spell bump. And then you're deciding on dazes, forces.
maybe a stifle. Yeah.
Maybe a Stifle.
You would not help your opponent.
No, Stifle was not
yeah.
boarded out.
Okay, it's also good. Stifling a wasteland.
And he. It's. Such. And the Stifle is just. You can't really respond with another spell because then Daze is active and then the Stifle doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a slow, tedious game plan of Johannes Gutbrot to wait out, play your threats. And yeah. You have the swords here. And we will continue the turn cycle for another one.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Martin at this point didn't have the chance to deploy any threat of his own. Except for the Lavinia that was sorted.
And now we have here the point where we get the Harbinger of the Seas. And I think
that's a pretty strong card.
Which are the basics that Johannes is allowed to play?
Johannes, I think you only... I don't have any. Yeah.
It doesn't have any. So if there is no...
It's 5 color almost, right? I mean, he has access to 5 colors.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has no basics. So the Harbinger is... Yeah.
It would be game over.
If it resolves now, he could float the white mana to cast the sword after resolving or countering it, but other than that, it looks pretty harsh for Johannes. And this is the advantage that the blue-white Stiflenaught deck has. It gets to play a lot of basics, and the Harbinger disrupting like all the dual lands from your opposing deck like this is especially here is a perfect application of the card.
Especially against 4 colors. And without basics, you basically shut off the whole stuff. And for the next turn, I hope we can see a repeat of the situation with another Harbinger, because it...
Does Martin have another one in hand?
He plays, I think, 2 in the deck, and maybe he has another one in hand, which would be awesome. I want to see the Dreadnought live.
I think Harbinger was a nice printing.
Yeah.
And I think Wizards did a really good job of making the mana cost of it right. Double blue.
It really meant that the card is not be there for Stompy.
Yeah.
It's just there to combat greedy mana bases.
Mm-hmm.
And having another Stompy Architect, especially with playing Force of Will would have been really, really tedious.
Yeah.
And I mean, can you expect turn 1 Magus of the Sea basically into Force of Will, Force of Will from your opponent, you Force of Will back,
Yeah.
and then continue the game from there?
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Yeah, it's horrible. Yeah.
But yeah, here we are with a balanced mana cost.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
She's play in a lot of sideboards. Arguably, at the moment, it actually helps the blue-black menace because blue-black has a pretty good and stable mana base, and it can just play it on their own in the sideboard, which makes it even tougher for these kind of for color control decks and so on. But we'll see.
Especially blue-based decks with a light splash or even bigger splash for a color.
Yeah.
In blue-black scam, you have the troll to get in your basic swamp, even if the Harbinger happens first.
Yeah.
You have all the stuff that you need in the deck of Martin. You have the basic planes that you can easily get, and you can play the game.
Yeah.
Perfectly fine without it. And especially with Petty Theft on Brazen Borer, you have outs in the mono blue color pie.
Yeah, true.
And yeah.
Right now it's a question of what is the game plan. Johannes is sticking for some cards.
And yeah.
What will be the pick?
Yeah. Damn it, it's
Mystic Sanctuary for
another
probably
Ponder.
Potter. Yeah.
Now it's trying to resolve another card. The Pernicious Deed, and basically now is set up to win from here. The only threat that it's hard to Pernicious Deed is the Null Drifter.
The Null Drifter. Yeah, unless you activate it for 7.
Which is hard if you have to sacrifice a land for every turn.
Yeah.
But yeah, spot is kind of missed for another Harbinger. Now you get the Uru, and now it's basically pretty much over.
Let's see. I mean, the deed is of course a good insurance for upcoming threats from Martin.
Especially with the time constraints, you have to quickly find something. I mean, I see the Dresden in here, but even with the Dresden, the only thing that really works is the before-mentioned Null Drifter, because that you just sacrifice the deed for 1 to kill the Phyrexian Dreadnought. He has the one wide open, which indicates assaults to plowshares, so even the Null Drifter isn't that safe.
Yeah.
I mean, it still draws you 2 cards, but yeah.
Exactly. Dressdown and Phyrexian Dreadnought, yeah.
Maybe he has a Stifle?
That would be cool.
Stifle with counter backup.
Okay, let's see how this unfolds. It would be a lethal attack if he can prevent the Pernicious Deed from going off. Johannes definitely knows now that there is a Stifle in hand. Otherwise, he would not deploy 2 Dreadnoughts for this dress down. So this is pretty clear.
I think you just reanimate here your Uro.
Yeah. You can of course wait for the activation of Deed for the next turn.
Up the Beanstalk, which indicates he should have something.
Okay, interesting. Activated now is the Stifle. The question is, does Johannes have a counter? There's a force. Okay.
And does he have a force back?
Beanstalk
Beanstalk trigger?
Yeah. No, that's on the stack, I think. I think. Or not. Or not,
okay, yeah.
Or not, yeah. Okay.
He played the Force and Will in them deck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
This was the chance of Martin. I think it was a pretty good line.
Now he gets to the Null Drifter, which would be the other line. I think he has another Dresden in hand, which means for next turn he can do something else. But here we get now the Urobag, the Life, which means if something like a Life from the Loom comes up in the near future, it's...
Yeah. Hull Breacher.
Yeah, there's one of Hull Breach in the board. That's great. Main advantage is now on the side of Martin.
Yeah.
Which could mean in 1 or 2 turns he can... Is it days? Yeah.
I'm actually wondering what was boarded out, because you still have all the forces, all the days.
There are forces, there are daces.
Yeah.
What's
I have no
some
idea.
stuff? Maybe he boarded out the Psychic Frogs.
That could be the case, yeah.
Because it
Yeah.
just brings all the removal and you have Uro. And it's game 2. You are up. You're the deck
You
that
just
slows
want to-
everything down.
Yeah, want to
Don't
control
have
it.
to win the game. I mean, I personally would favor for winning a game because
Then it's
I need
clear.
some time off.
Ah.
But yeah, in this case, you just control the board and win with Uro.
Yeah. True.
Pondering around, trying to win some stuff. And yeah, it's gone up and down and up and down.
Up and down and up and down. Exactly.
It's pretty much all right. And one thing at this stage of the game we have to compliment: the Lancers of Martin. The Output Unglued basics are a highlight.
Yeah.
And on the other side for Johannes with the Beta basics, am I right?
There are no beta basics. You mean tools?
The Beta duels.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess so.
Also really, really sweet. Even though they aren't German. I mean, the Unglueds are not. Something I really dislike about Unglued and Unhinged.
Because there's no German version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a German aficionado. It's it's a missing piece. But yeah, Salzblauscher doesn't resolve against Uro. And the thing is, do you know how many threats? If he really bought it out the Psychic Frogs he has in the deck?
Like 2 or 3.
2.
I think it's
it's 2.
yeah, maybe there's a Murktide. But maybe this was also bought out.
Yeah.
Because
I don't need threats.
Yeah.
Give me protection.
Yeah.
Another ponder. Rambling down the time.
Exactly.
This is something that you are allowed to do.
What?
Pondering, trying, casting cards, even though everything is sealed up. Because
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
and here can we make a 7/7 out of the Murktide on the side of Martin? Does the Murktide live 1 turn? I believe not. Prismatic ending on the up the beanstalk.
Okay.
I think this window was missed. I mean, you can't really prismatic ending an Uro in the 2-color deck.
Yeah.
This is something that I really dislike with prismatic ending in such decks.
Yeah.
I
Only 2 color.
only 2-color, and there I enjoyed. How was the card? There is It's cost also 1 white and X, and you can exile target
March of
the
whatever it was, the white march.
The white march. The orchid or something like that. Because I mean you can't kill planeswalkers with it, but everything, and it does not it can kill creature, artifacts and enchantments.
Yeah.
Does not specify a non-land. With that you can exile something like Wurzelsaga. I mean, this is not the metagame where this is huge.
Yeah.
But it's still a possibility, and you can pay more mana into it, and or even discard like soul splashes
Yeah.
to kill what was it called? The enchantment that Johannes played. Deed.
Deed. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and here we have the Leyline Binding. And this is the thing that's the only Uro build currently has. It can only attack for 6 each turn.
Only attack for 6, yeah.
Yeah. You can't speed it up because if you play another Uro, it's legendary.
Yeah. This is what you mean. You only have one Uro.
Yeah.
One is enough.
One is enough. One is plenty.
Yeah.
I mean, you cast 2 Uros to get 1 Uro, so
yeah,
it's 2 cards in one, so.
Yeah.
And if you pay 7 mana, 6/6 seems fine.
Exactly.
It's basically an Altdrifter. You pay 7 mana and it draws you 2 cards.
Why 7? Yeah. Now I get it. Yeah.
Now we get an Altdrifter. Trigger. What are cards that Martin can draw here? I mean, swords?
Yeah. I mean, doesn't need him to win the game.
I mean, it needs to win him a game for Martin, and time is ticking and ticking and ticking.
Yeah.
And this seems like in the near future 1-0 for Johannes. No, I mean, he has to attack 1 time with the Uro, and then it's basically game over. Has he dropped the 2 cards? Yeah. Another dress down here. And we have the Leyline Binding.
Yeah. Should seal it up.
Should seal the deal. Which means near future, a small little break on the stream. But here we see the final touches of Martin and Johannes' game.
Yeah.
How do you like this matchup from both sides? Do you think there is a clear favorite in the side of?
Yeah, if you played well, I think 4 color is ahead. Yeah. It is really tough for Stiflenought to battle against a control deck like this that has so many answers to your threats. And especially when it has its own bases and wastelands and so on. I mean, wasteland is not particularly strong here, but so many cards. As you can see, the hand of Johannes, it's so stacked.
Yeah. It's you have so much selection, and if the game goes medium to long, and Stiflenaught plays a lot of times like a small little control deck with a quote unquote combo finish. And therefore it's like pretty hard. It's you have to resolve the creature, you have to attack with the creature. This is not the good old days where you play blue-red and fling your Dreadnought into your opponent's face.
Exactly.
You have to have the creature on the field. You have to attack a few times if you're talking about an Altdrift instead of a Phyrexian Dreadnought. Then you have to have like a few forces ready or daces ready to counter your opponent. Swords of Plashes, old-time staple in the format, 1 mana, hard to daze. You need to have the Wastelands to remove your opponent's land, which means another card that you have. Basically, you have to sculpt the Dream Hand, and your opponent is not allowed to have more than 1 force of will, basically. So,
Pretty cool match. I think we will head into a short break now before we continue with the 5th match. This will be close to a position where we could say it is indicated who will get into the top 8, because we would play 6 rounds in total. After that we will have a cut of top 8, so it will be interesting. We will advance, and yeah, as mentioned before, we will be back in a couple of minutes for the next round of this Austrian Legacy Masters main event.
See ya.